American soccer fans, welcome to episode 163 of the USA Soccer Cast. We're bringing you everything about the U.S. national teams, the players, the leagues, and everything else that impacts the game of soccer in these United States. I'm Donald Wine. I'm coming to you from a hotel room in Tampa, Florida, and I'm recording this the early morning, after the U.S. men's national team closed out 2025 with a 5-1 thrashing of Uruguay. I figured it was a good time before I hit my flight to get out some immediate thoughts on the men's national team window, which also included a 2-1 win over Paraguay in Chester, Pennsylvania. I was at both games. What a window for the United States to beat Paraguay 2-1. Gio Reyna with the opening goal inside 5 minutes. He then assisted Flair and Balogun on the winner in the second half. It was a back and forth game through the first 50, 60 minutes of the game. And then Balogun and Gio took over to provide the game winner, and it was a great night. You thought that would have been the best result entering this match against Uruguay, but 5-1 in the way that it happened was nothing short of incredible. Sebastian Berhalter with a worldie of a set piece to open things up. It felt like a couple minutes later, Alex Freeman gets his head on a ball and on a Berhalter pass. Berhalter, again, those set pieces off of a corner kick, incredible. Alex Freeman scores again with a worldie of a golazo, where he decided that everybody in Uruguay was a traffic cone, and he decided to dribble through every single one of them on the way to the net. And it was incredible. What a great, great goal. Then you have Diego Luna. He makes it 4-0 before halftime. And even Uruguay's goal was a bicycle kick. So this first half had everything in it. And then in the second half, Tanner Tessman with a free header in the box. Nobody near him. He gets to put the head on the ball right in front of the goal. He gets the fifth one, 5-1 USA. And as we closed out 2025, I did not expect for these two games to go the way that they did. Right? Like, Gio Reyna has not been on the national team since March. He has barely played for his club team in that time frame. He has switched clubs only to find himself on the bench again. He's come off the bench on a couple of occasions, and a lot of people were questioning his inclusion on this roster because of the prior precedent that Mauricio Pochettino had set that guys need to be playing. And I count myself as one of those guys, says, hey, let's get him back to playing with his club, and then we can worry about his standing with the national team. He comes in, he scores a goal within 5 minutes, and he assists Balogun on the winner in the second half against Paraguay. You can't do better than that. And he had a great, great performance. And that is what these players need to do. Take advantage of the opportunities that they have to showcase themselves on the international stage. Make the most of that opportunity. Gio Reyna probably heard everybody talking about whether or not he should have been in this camp. He decided to shut everybody up, myself included, in the first 5 minutes. And I'm happy that he arrived in camp with that mentality, that all these guys arrived in camp with that mentality. We talk about set pieces. Sebastian Berhalter might need to be the guy taking them. And how do you fit him on a field that would likely include guys like Christian Pulisic, maybe even a Gio Reyna if he gets back to full health and full fitness with his club and full playing time? It's interesting to see how that would work out. But Sebastian Berhalter, with his foot on the ball in a set piece, was dangerous every single time. Every single time. Even the free kick that he had in the second half that was right in front of our section, we all lined up as if that was going in. But for Uruguay getting a header on it to kind of force it out of bounds for a corner kick, it was on frame. And again, we need set pieces from guys who can make every set piece dangerous, whether it's a corner kick or a free kick. And he did that. That was an incredible performance for him. Alex Freeman, my friend Ryan Rosenblatt on Twitter, on Blue Sky last night, said he still doesn't know if Freeman's good. And I kind of agree with that. But he, a few months ago, was in MLS Next Pro, struggling. And now he's most improved player for Major League Soccer, or best young player, I should say, for Major League Soccer, and on the national team scoring a brace against Uruguay. That is making the most of your opportunity. And that is It was a sensational performance for him. I should also note that Sebastian Berhalter, he got the assist obviously on Freeman's first goal. He got the goal, the opening goal, and he was doing his best to complete the Gordie Howe hat trick. By any time there was a little fracas, he was right there. And again, he was there when Freeman got knocked down at the end of the Paraguay match that set off a huge benches clearing fracas. Berhalter was right there. These guys were right behind each. It felt like these guys were close. And every single time that there was the other team trying to, show a little bit of fight, our team was ready to give the fight right back. And I like that about this team, the fire that they have for each other, the fire that the intensity they brought to the field, and the sense of urgency that was missing months ago. It's starting to come back. You can see that in this team. When they were up 3-0, they were looking for that fourth goal. They were looking for that fifth goal. You want a team to want to be able to do that against the Uruguay, against a team that's better than Uruguay, against a team that's worse. You want them to knock those teams out because these are the type of teams you're going to see in the World Cup. When you look up and down this roster, Matt Freese, great window. He's, in my mind, he's locked in as the number one. But who's going to be behind him? There's a lot of questions about which goalkeepers you bring as part of the 26, or we're assuming 26 players. Who do you bring when you don't really see anybody on the field? Salentano hasn't played much. Jonathan Klinsmann has not played at all. Patrick Schulte hasn't played much. Matt Turner, who wasn't in this camp, hasn't played much. When since Freese has taken over as this number one, he's played 95, 97% of the minutes. So he might be locked in, but we got to figure out who those backups are going to be. Now, they may not play. They probably won't play in the World Cup unless we clinch the group in match 2, and then you can really rotate your lineup. But Matt Freese did all he could, in my opinion, to solidify that number one spot. Defenders, Mark McKenzie with the armband last night, I thought he did excellent, commanding the defense. Again, the one goal that Uruguay had was right on the stroke of halftime, and it was a bicycle kick. If you're going to be beat with a bicycle kick, what are you going to do? You throw your hands up and you kind of say, good goal. But for the most part, these guys did well on defense. Mark McKenzie did great. Tim Ream feels like he's a little bit slow, but he knows where he needs to be. And there may be a question down the line of whether Tim Ream should be the guy that's starting, but as for now, nobody's passing him leaps and bounds, in my opinion, to the point where you have to throw Tim Ream on the bench. But you got guys that are coming up. Chris Richards, of course, is not in this camp. He's probably going to be the starter. Miles Robinson, I thought, did well. Joe Scally, in his first time back since March, did well. Austin Trusty, first time back in a while, did well. Alex Freeman did well. Max Arson came off the bench. Didn't think he did super tremendous, but he was fine. And Serginho Dest is back. And Serginho Dest at wing back, it feels like the most natural position for him on the field. And even if you take him off after 60 minutes for more defense or more offense, whichever you may need at the time, starting is the right call. With your midfielders, you have, again, Berhalter. Tyler Adams was hurt during his camp. He's going to be there. Aiden Morris showed himself well. Gio Reyna showed himself well. Christian Roldan played well. Tanner Tessman made the most of his opportunity. And I'm looking at these guys, and it's going to be really hard after those core guys get picked for the World Cup roster. It's going to be real hard for some of these guys to make the team, but they're all making their cases, and that's all you can ask for. It feels like no one's going to go down without a fight. And that's probably why this fall has been as successful as it has been, save for that South Korea match back in September. They've been unbeaten in 5 straight since then. 1 draw, 4 wins. A couple of those wins were come from behind wins, and then this thrashing against Uruguay. You have to credit this team for finding the spunk and finding the fight that is necessary to elevate this team to the heights that it needs to get to compete at a World Cup. Your forwards for this camp, Brendan Aronson, I thought played very well. Balogun, can't say enough about his performances. Diego Luna, you can't say enough about him. Haji Wright, I thought was great. Ricardo Pepi didn't get a goal, but Ricardo Pepi was right there. And I think when you look at the forward spot, again, there's no Tim Weah in this camp. There's no Christian Pulisic in this camp. But those names, I feel if you're looking at a 26-man roster, all five of the forwards that were in this camp are on it. Aaronson, Balogun, Luna, Pepe, Wright. I think they're all on that squad as of today. And down the line, as we get into December, we can start speculating at who those 26 could be at this time. And as we get towards the World Cup draw as well, it'll be a fun activity to do, and we'll probably do that in the show. But I can't be happier with the performance that they had in this camp, the entire team. And Mauricio Pochettino getting these guys ready, again, elevating the play from last month and seeing a tangible improvement, I think is terrific. So we will leave it there. Let's pause right here. We're going to talk about some of the big changes really quickly coming to Major League Soccer after this break.
Hey everyone, are you looking for the latest gear for your U.S. national teams, Major League Soccer, the NWSL, or any other team in the world of soccer? The USA SoccerCast has affiliate partnerships that are ready to help you out. Head to linktree.com/USA SoccerCast, where we have links to Homage, Fanatics, the MLS Store, and Breaking Team. You can get the jersey, shirt, hat, or accessory you're looking for to support your team, while also saving some money and helping this show in the process. Again, linktree.com/USA SoccerCast. Click on the links and get your gear. And we thank you as always for your support of the show.
We're back, and quickly I want to shift to the domestic league, Major League Soccer, because they have finally done it. Late last week, the league owners voted to move to a fall spring calendar beginning in 2027. The way that it's going to work is in spring of 2027, they're going to have a short league season, 14 games plus playoffs and MLS Cup from February through May. They're going to take a summer break. And the fall spring schedule will begin with games kicking off in July of 2027 and going through, it will be the 2027-2028 season. They'll start in mid to late July. They'll play till mid-December. They then take a break in the winter. They'll resume in the first or third week of February. They're going to figure out a way to skip Super Bowl weekend. And they're going to play through April with playoffs coming in May. Could they have MLS Cup on Memorial Day weekend? Maybe. The details of the playoffs remain to be seen, but that maybe is what they're setting up to do. And I think with this small change, or with the calendar change, with this small transition season that's going to take place in spring of 2027, all of those results, you're going to have a full 14-game regular season, full playoffs, and MLS Cup. Those results will determine 2027 qualification for the U.S. Open Cup, Canadian Championship, the Leagues Cup, and the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Now, Major League Soccer, when they announced this huge change, which had been rumored, they had tabled it for a while, and then at a certain point last week, they said at this owners meeting that this was going to happen. And so Major League Soccer is touting the changes will bring the following positive benefits. This is reading from their write-up on this. One, optimize global transfer market activity. They want to align with the global schedule, so MLS clubs can participate more effectively in all the transfer windows, improving opportunities to acquire and sell top talent. It'll maximize player signings. And with the majority of players coming in the summer, they will be coming in at the beginning of the season as opposed to in the middle of the season. So you're able to fully integrate those players into the team before it really get into the thick of the season. Number three, you align with the FIFA calendar. Now, the FIFA calendar, we're talking about international match windows. Now, MLS is still going to play through some of them, and they're still going to have to. But they say the new calendar will significantly reduce conflicts between MLS league matches and national team call-ups for players, particularly during summer tournaments. And with the World Cup, with Gold Cup and Copa America and other competitions around the world that take place during the summer, Euros, Africa Cup of Nations, you're going to see those guys go, but they're not going to be missing a huge chunk of the season at this point because there are rules about them going to a national team or national tournament or international tournament and then coming back and they have to take a certain amount of break before they're reintegrated to their club. That won't have to happen anymore because that'll happen during, most of the summer break. You elevate playoffs is their fourth one. And now that this is a fall spring schedule, the playoffs, MLS Cup final will be played in May. So you got better weather. You're not interrupted by an international match window. There's usually no match window in May. And you're not fighting, in their minds, they're not fighting with college football and the NFL. They're fighting with Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, and baseball, which they think is a better fight to fight. Included in this schedule change is going to be a structure change with regards to the table. Now, the league is operating as a single table, but also included are 5 divisions. They have not set the divisions yet. They said they're going to set them geographically, which can pose some issues for certain teams. DC United, they would play everyone in division twice, and then they'd play every other team in the league once for a total of 34 games. So outside of your division, you can play half those teams at home, half of those teams away, and that'll switch every year. So in a 2-year period, you will see every team come to your city at least once. Now, how this is going to operate with the playoffs, I have no idea because you're starting in mid-July, you're going through mid-December. You have a cramped spring schedule, February to April, to get to 34 games. Will that mean a lot of midweeks, especially if you're skipping a lot of these international breaks? There's going to be a double window in September and October starting after the 2026 World Cup. On the men's side, there's going to be one in November, one in March. The double window is going to be 2 weekends long. So these teams are going to have to figure out how to cram 34 games into a calendar that's subtracting the Christmas holiday, mid-December to mid-February. It's going to have to subtract at least 4 weekends and really 4 weeks throughout the season because of the international breaks. And then they're going to have to do something about the structure of the playoffs because they can't do the best of 3 and the home and homes and stuff like that. They're going to have to figure out how to streamline that throughout the month of May so that it's ending before these guys get called in for summer tournaments and for summer friendlies. Now, the one caveat to all this is that winter part. Don't know if y'all know this, but it's November. I'm in Florida. It's 80 degrees. That's not the case where I live in DC. That's not the case in a lot of parts of the country. And this is November. They're going to be playing through mid-December. Now, yes, it's great that MLS Cup will not be in the cold, but for most of the country, that is going to be a reality for these late November, early December games. And you can't really have it where half the league, the South is kind of, getting the burden of hosting these games to close out the fall portion of the schedule or to start the spring part of the schedule. They're talking about teams like New England Revolution are talking about, hey, we're not going to be at home for 3 months if you include the winter break because they're going to take a few weeks on either side of that break and go on the road because of expected weather. And you just can't do that. That's going to be something they're going to have to figure out because that is going to put a lot of pressure on those southern teams. And if the southern teams get bad weather, which they do, they get hurricanes, it gets cold, they're going to have to figure out a lot of schedule adjustments. And so that's something that they're going to have to deal with. We don't have to we deal with more types of weather than other countries in Europe. England, for example, doesn't get a ton of snow. When they get snow, they shut down. Some places here, they get snow starting in October and they can get snow in May. That's most of the season. So how do you reconcile that with the schedule that it has to be set months in advance? And with quirks that need to move the schedule, like some of these teams that share with other sports. It's it's a convoluted thing. I think overall there are positives to MLS being in a fall spring schedule, but there are also some negatives that really need to be addressed. And when Major League Soccer highlights the benefits, they don't discuss how they're going to deal with the negatives. And they need to openly, publicly. They have a couple of years to work this out because even the spring, the transition season, 14 games over the course of 12 weeks, that's going to be really, really tight. And that is going to uh that's going to really set some guys up for failure. If some guy gets hurt, they're going to miss a ton of games because they're going to be playing every single week and sometimes 2 to 3 times a week just to get those games in. So how they're going to figure that out, they have some time, but they don't have a lot of time because we're almost in 2026, which means we got a little over a year before this schedule format makes us change. So we'll leave it right there. I got to get on the plane. We're going to talk more about Major League Soccer later on the week. We're going to obviously talk more about the U.S. men's national team, the women's national team. Their roster comes out today. We'll talk about them as they get ready for their window over the Thanksgiving holiday. But for now, that will do it for this episode 163 of the USA Soccer Cast. Thank you so much for following. Remember, you can find us on Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us on all those sites at USA Soccercast. Subscribe, rate, and review our shows. It helps us get in front of new people and is greatly appreciated. Tell your friends about us. Finally, head to linktree.com/USA Soccercast to check out our affiliate links and our stimulus store. More on the stimulus store coming. We will have everything you need to prepare for 2026 and follow your teams, and using those links also helps support the show. We'll talk to you again soon, y'all. Peace.